What if everything you've been told about life is a lie? What if the best years of your life haven't even started yet, and the moment you've been waiting for comes when you least expect it? The truth is, the real journey begins when you reach 40, and it's not what you think. If you've ever wondered whether you've been living someone else's life, stay tuned, because this is the wake-up call you've been waiting for. From the moment you were born, society sold you a story, one that kept you obedient, confined to expectations, and worst of all, you believed it. You've been told that youth is the pinnacle of your existence, that after 30, you start to decline, and by 40, your options are limited. These are all lies. Real life doesn't start when you're young and following the rules. It begins when you realize that everything you've built so far is just a reflection of what others expect of you. Carl Jung said that this realization comes at 40. It may sound strange, but that's because it contradicts what you've been taught. The first 40 years of your life, they're a rehearsal, an accumulation of experiences, both failures and successes, that don't fully belong to you. For 4 decades, you've been shaped by the expectations of others. And then, at 40, something inside you starts to crack. It's subtle, but it's there. A fracture in the facade you've worked so hard to build. What once made sense begins to crumble. Your old motivations no longer satisfy. The rewards you once chased feel empty. And then you start questioning everything. Who am I when no one is watching? How much of my life is really mine? This is the most important moment of your life, the awakening. Carl Jung called this the individuation process. For the first time, you realized that the identity you built was based on external expectations. You've been a child, a student, a professional, a spouse, but you've rarely been yourself. This awakening is terrifying. Everything you thought you knew is fading. Success, recognition, validation, they suddenly feel irrelevant. You're at a crossroads. Do you cling to the old, or do you strip everything away and start fresh? The truth is, if you reach 40 and haven't questioned everything you've built, you're still asleep. Most people prefer not to look. They hold on to the comfort of routine, even if it's a lie. But those who face the truth, who dare to live authentically, experience something incredible: freedom. When you stop living for others, you start living for yourself. You no longer have to stay on the same path just because it's familiar. You can create your own. Here's the uncomfortable question: how much of your life is truly yours? How much of what you do every day reflects your real essence? Are you living or just acting? It's easy to avoid these questions, but at some point, the truth will break through. And when it does, you'll have a choice. Keep living a lie, or step into authenticity. At 40, the decline doesn't begin. The revolution does. It's not the end. It's the start of everything. It's your chance to abandon the script, break free from expectations, and begin writing your own story. But here's the catch: you have to choose. Jung called it individuation. I call it rebirth. It's a process, a journey, but you get to decide what to do with it. And here's the real test. It's not enough to realize you've been living someone else's life. The tough part is what comes next. When you start peeling away the layers of identity built on others' expectations, you'll feel emptiness. That's the terrifying part. For your whole life, you've been defined by what you do, what you achieve, how others see you. So, who are you when you strip all of that away? This is why many never take the step. The fear of emptiness is paralyzing. But Jung understood something critical. This emptiness isn't an end. It's the beginning. When you let go of everything that isn't truly you, you can begin to rebuild yourself from the inside out. But this isn't something that happens overnight. It's a process of trial, error, and discovery. And it's a solitary journey. No one can do it for you. No one can hand you a manual for finding your true self. It comes from experience, from action, from the courage to try, fail, and start again. Most people will never reach this point. Most will stay stuck, clinging to what's familiar, even if it's a false security. But if you dare to face the emptiness, you'll discover something amazing. Freedom. The world you once knew will no longer look the same. Conversations that once seemed important will feel trivial. Fears that once paralyzed you will lose their power. But with this awakening comes another challenge: loneliness. When you see the world for what it truly is, you realize that many people around you are still stuck in the same patterns. Friendships fade, relationships lose meaning, conversations that once filled your time become noise. It's a tough reality, but it's necessary. When you let go of what doesn't serve you, you make space for what truly resonates with your authentic self. The next phase is rebuilding. It's not just about shedding old identities. It's about choosing consciously what kind of life you want to create. Until now, much of your life was shaped by external expectations. You chose your career, relationships, and lifestyle based on what you were told was right or successful. But now, you have the chance to choose for yourself. This choice comes with fear. You might make mistakes, and there won't be anyone else to blame if you do. That's why so many avoid this step. They stay in limbo, afraid of the unknown. But Jung's wisdom is clear. The individuation process is not supposed to be easy. It's about confronting fear and challenging the lies that have shaped you. It's a process of death and rebirth. On the other side of this journey is peace. Peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances or validation. It's the difference between merely existing and truly living. When you live authentically, something amazing happens. Anxiety fades. The need to fit in, to meet arbitrary standards, disappears. Instead, you find peace. But here's the final truth. The process of becoming who you truly are has no end. At each stage, you'll need to shed new layers, question new beliefs, and let go of new masks. But once you wake up, you can't go back to sleep. And that changes everything. The big question is, who do you want to be? Once you answer that, everything else will fall into place. And here's the kicker. You don't need all the answers. You just need to take the first step. The fear, the uncertainty, that's all part of the process. If you don't feel fear, you're not really growing. Stop waiting for a sign. Stop asking for permission. There is no perfect moment. The moment is now. The decision is yours. You can go back to living as you have, or you can start walking in a new direction. If you choose the latter, remember, it's never too late. Your life is not written. The future is unwritten, and it's all in your hands. Are you ready to live for real? If you are, leave a comment saying, "Awakening is irreversible." If this message resonated with you, subscribe, because this is just the beginning. See you in the next video.